Hey guys, it's Coffee. Welcome back to Asagao Academy. So a lot happened last time, so we're gonna recap all of that by reading some journal entries. Alright, here we go. Dear Diary, Jared's mother is a righteous bitch. There, I said it. I couldn't say it out loud to anybody, but I can say it here. I hate her guts. Dear Diary, Mai is my friend. She braided my hair, she built me a fort. We told each other about the most horrible things we've ever did, so this isn't a thing. Mai wouldn't do this to me. And our last one, Dear Diary, things finally seem to have become stable. At least, I hope they are. Stable's come. Stable's nice. Alright. So yeah, we received that call from Jared's mother, and it just revealed a lot about his upbringing. And that, like, a lot of, I guess most of his insecurities are from, you know, being verbally abused by his mother. But, you know, on the bright side, though, we went to the beach, and that trip really seemed to cheer Jared up for a little bit, so I'm glad he got to feel better. And there's also that whole thing with Mai, like she likes someone and she's not telling us who, but I think after watching her behavior around PBG, I think we definitely know who it is. But anyway, let's continue. The next week at Asagao was peaceful and happy. Jared returned to Asagao and accepted the reprimand he received for skipping class with such a broad smile that his teacher couldn't even find it in him to dole out a punishment. For once, the misunderstandings between Jared and me seemed to vanish. He started avoiding normal boots during lunch, and instead we ate together out on the field, having private little picnics to ourselves. We laughed together, we talked before class, we spent time after class. I saw less and less of Mai, but I always gave her a brief update when I got back to our dorm. I worried that she would feel lonely, but as the days passed, she seemed to only get happier and happier. I often saw her at her desk, writing something and grinning like a madman, but I couldn't tell what. Even with the tournament that weekend, I wasn't too worried. I felt like I could handle anything, come win or come lose. I still wanted to join the Normal Boots Club, but I wasn't desperate to, like I was before. I chuckled softly to myself as I finished outlining Jared's most recent dungeon onto his large map grid. Jared wasn't as artistically inclined as I was, so he asked me to help him out with his dungeon mastering every now and then, explaining to me how the game worked and reenacting their adventures in live form. I hoped that eventually he would feel comfortable enough to have me join an actual campaign. This time, however, I didn't think I would hear another story. Jared shut the door behind him, having returned from going to get the mail, and walked slowly to his seat, reading and rereading something in his hands. He looked pale, and I set down my marker as he collapsed onto his chair. Jared, is something wrong? He held up an ornate piece of paper, lined with intricate gold engravings. It reminded me a bit of the letter I received asking for my presence at the tea ceremony. The Nadeshiko family cordially invites you to... His voice caught in his throat, and he put his head in his hands. Why didn't I see this coming? What? What is it? I snatched the letter from his hands. The Nadeshiko family cordially invites you to our yearly public tea ceremony and arts exhibition. Below the ornate script, where clearly another message was supposed to go, was a jerky and angular scrawl. We request the presence of Jared Knabenbauer and his significant other to a special performance, demonstrating the suitability and elegance of the future of the Nadeshiko family. Significant other was indented into the paper, as though someone, for some reason, tried to kill the paper with those words. Well, that's not too bad, right? Hana, you don't understand. She wants to humiliate you. She wants to show you exactly how out of your league you are.
Seriously?
That's okay. I don't mind if I make a fool of myself. I mean, it'll suck in the moment for sure, but what do I care what those people think about me? You don't get it. Even if you don't care, I do. If you're going with me, we're going to have to practice. I'll have to drill you on the basics, and maybe by the grace of Thor, you won't completely embarrass yourself for me. I clamped my mouth shut, stunned. An embarrassment to you, really. The only way you can go is if you practice. And you will, won't you? Okay. I don't really like the way he asked us. I mean, he could have phrased that better, I admit. But I mean, I feel like, I don't know, if we're going to be his girlfriend, like, there is something we could gain from learning how to act around high society or whatever. And also, it's like, just knowing his abuse situation at home, it's like, I feel like the way that he asked us, it's not that he thinks that we're an embarrassment to him. It seems like he's just trying to make this go as smoothly as possible, because he knows that his mother is going to find every little thing she can, every little excuse to bully him, basically. So yeah. Usually I would respond negatively to that kind of speech, but I know he didn't mean it as an insult to Hana. And he's really just trying to survive, I guess. And also, like, this is very important to him, so even if we don't care, we should care because he cares, if that makes sense. So, I don't know. I say why not? Despite the fact that I felt insulted, despite the fact that Jared was being more rude than ever, I acquiesced. I knew that how his mother thought of him was important to him. Even if she was a complete monster, even if she acted as though she could care less for his well-being, she was still his mother, and Jared still loved her. That relationship and those dynamics weren't going to change overnight, and neither was Jared. Even if he felt comfortable being himself around me, that didn't mean his other self would suddenly vanish. With all this in mind, it was very hard to be angry with him. And besides, I hoped that maybe if I met her and saw what she was like firsthand, maybe then I'd be able to help him out a bit more. Exactly. It's like, in this relationship, we're a team. You know, that's like kind of what I was feeling this entire time. And I don't know, if this is important to him, it should be important to us too. Jared smiled at me, but his smile was brief. Okay, if we're going to do this, we'll have to start now. The ceremony's the day after the tournament, so...
What?
What? That's so soon. He nodded. Clearly, she planned it this way. He ran a hand through his hair. I know it would make more sense just to have you not go, but I don't want that. I don't want to act like I'm not dating someone. She'd surely try to set me up with some rich girl if I did that.
Yeah!
But even more than that, I'm proud that you're my girlfriend. I don't want to hide you. See, I knew he wasn't embarrassed of us.
Jared.
Alright.
So, to work. Alright, you're going to have to control your movements. Jared drilled me on the tea ceremony protocol deep into the night, trying to condition my body to have a sense of grace and poise. It was slow going, but by the end of the night we both thought maybe we had a chance. Maybe. Jared and I practiced what we could for the tea ceremony right up until the day of the tournament. I woke that morning groggy and nauseous. I spent so much time worrying about my relationship with Jared that I hardly practiced. Well, then maybe it's a good thing that I spent that whole meeting learning strategies. Even now, when I spent the entire night after the tea ceremony feverishly battling strangers online, I felt horribly guilty. The tournament. How would things go? Would I really be able to beat Ian? I had to if I wanted to join the Normal Boots Club. With these thoughts in mind, I changed into my Asagao uniform and crept out of the room. It was early Saturday morning, and Mai had come home even later than me. I wanted to let her sleep. I stepped out into the fresh spring air, taking a deep breath. My event was one of the first, so I had to be there earlier than most. I set my shoulders and started across campus. The arcade at which the tournament was being held was much smaller than I expected. I felt like I'd find some kind of convention, but instead it was a small local arcade filled with machines. Smaller rooms split off, which were probably where the individual competitions would take place throughout the day. Yeah, I apologize if this scene is going to go almost the same as last time, if this is just a lot of repeating, so I'm going to say sorry about that beforehand. A few people milled about the space, generally older folk in their 20s and 30s. I glanced at the agenda in my hand and made my way to one of the back rooms. When I entered the competition room, I found 2 chairs on an elevated platform, a computer and a projector sitting between them and hooked up to separate controllers. Ian sat in one of the chairs, looking bored out of his mind. Oh, long time no see. Ian!
Hey.
It's about time you showed up. I was starting to get worried that you died. Oh, it's sweet of you to be concerned. Is it? Yeah. I got into the chair next to him. A man came over to me to check my name and club affiliation. I said I was a member of the Normal Boots Club. A small surge of pride making me sit up straight as I did. There were chairs lined up for people to watch us compete, and to my surprise, the entire room soon filled. I searched the crowd to find the guys. There they were. Everyone but Jared and Paul. Where were they? As I stared worriedly into the crowd, a blur of movement caught my eye. Jimmy was sitting in a chair on the edge of with the rest of the Hidden Block Club, beaming at me. When he saw me looking, he raised his eyebrows. Ian rolled his eyes.
Really?
Would it kill you to root for your own teammate? I giggled. Finally, the lights around us dimmed and the projector started up, showing the main menu of Dumbadoom's Revenge on screen. It was time to start. As the MC began his introduction and explained the rules of the game, Ian turned to me, a smirk on his face. Sure you're ready for this?
Yeah!
You bet I am! Ready to go? The man turned to us. Ian and I nodded. Then, 3, 2, 1. Start. The game began. I immediately clicked to fill my screen, with 2 more lines of blocks. Ian began working with what he had. I scanned the blocks for the pink hearts, eliminating them one by one, making combos where I could. I still wasn't advanced enough to learn to plan tons of combos ahead of time, but I could make it much more likely for combos to happen through probability. The pinks were all gone, green leaves were next. Dumbadoob started flipping at the top of the screen. Ian must be comboing, which meant I had a few seconds before those blocks would fall. I set up a combo on the top of the screen and started eliminating the orange blocks below it. Then it happened. A 6 combo jumped out at me from the screen. My eyes crossed as I stared at it in shock. I just had to move the top block over 1 space. Then, as quickly as I saw it, it vanished. The blocks looked normal again. You're dead! Ian's blocks fell upon my humble kingdom. I slid the combo into place. 2, 3, 4 combo, 5 combo, 6 combo, 7 combo, 8 combo. Ian's attacks converted into blocks and hovered over mine. I set up several more combos and waited for them to fall. 10 combo, legendary! Dumbadoom started farting out rainbows over Ian's zone, and then... blocks. So many blocks. They didn't come in a chunk, they came in a torrential downpour. All over Ian's side, sliding from left to right and back again. Ian blinked, his eyes and hands moving frantically over the screen. I wasn't sure he'd ever seen something like that before. I sure hadn't. I continued to combo while this was happening, but at this point there was no need. Ian's screen filled up. He was trying to make combos until the very end, but... game over. That was it. I won. Yes, I'm 2 for 2. I stared, dumbfounded at the screen in front of me. Ian's mouth hung open. The room was silent. Then... yeah, Hana!
Aw, yeah!
I knew you could do it! I glanced up to see the room applauding. All of it, even the Hidden Block Club. The announcer was gaping at the screen. I've never seen a score that high. Certain I was red as a tomato, I stood to climb down off the platform. Not so fast. Ian stepped in front of me, grim as always. I braced myself for his infamous sarcasm. But to my surprise, he laughed.
Hana.
That was a hell of a game, Hana. That's exactly what I expected from you. He held a hand in the air, and I looked at it in confusion. Don't leave me hanging.
Yeah.
Oh. I high-fived him, and he clasped my hands in his. Thanks, Hana. That was fun. As he disappeared into the pressing crowd... oh, then he disappeared into the pressing crowd. I wiggled my way through all the people, eager to find Jared. I looked for his head above the rest of the crowd, but I couldn't see him anywhere.
Hey!
Hana, there you are. Ready to get your groove on? I'm sorry? He wiggled in front of me, stomach wriggling like a worm. Have you seen Jared? Actually, I saw him talking with Paul out front. He seems upset. Is everything okay? I left Wald where he stood, sprinting for the front door. Yeah, I don't have a good feeling about this. I dashed outside the arcade, searching frantically along the strip in front of it. A flash of green caught my eye and I sprinted towards it. I jammed myself between Jared and Paul, arms outstretched. You have no reason to be mean to him. He's here for the tournament. He's one of us. By now you should have... A hand settled on my shoulder. I turned. Hana, you don't need to worry. Paul was just apologizing. I looked at Jared in confusion, and whirled back around to face Paul, who smiled sheepishly at me. You were? Kind of. Jared cleared his throat.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, definitely, I was definitely apologizing. Sorry, man. I looked from Paul to Jared and back. Apologies don't generally take 20 minutes. Neither of you were there to see my event. Jared's eyes grew wide and he smacked himself in the forehead.
What?
Oh man, your event was first, I thought so. I'm so sorry, Hana, I should have been there. We should have been there. Jared grimaced at Paul, who made a face back. Are either of you going to explain what's going on here? Paul shook his head with a sigh. Politics, Hana. How did your event go?
Yay!
Oh yeah, I won! I started bouncing up and down, pulling on Jared's hand. Can you believe that? I won! I never thought I'd win.
Nice.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about, Hana.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I'm truly glad to hear that. I beamed at both of them. Jared patted the top of my bow and I grabbed his hand to hold it instead. Paul cleared his throat. Jared, your competition's up soon, isn't it? Yeah, I'll be starting in a few minutes.
Alright.
I wish you luck then. Paul started heading back to the arcade, presumably to give us some privacy. Jared smiled down at me. Ready to see some mad skills? I'm more than ready. We headed inside. Jared pulled me through the crowd and into a small room at the back. Walid stood in front of a large projector screen and a console, being scanned by some object. His figure appeared on the projector in front of us, mirroring his movements with only a slight lag. I moved to the edge of the room as Jared joined Walid out on the dance floor. Wow. Actually, this entire time I totally forgot that Jared said he would be dancing in the competition.
Hey!
This is gonna be cool. Ready to get your butt kicked, Jared? By the meme master? Get real. You've never seen moves like what I got. We'll see about that. As the tournament staff finished setting up, the room filled with more and more people. Soon it became ridiculously hot and incredibly crowded, and I was shunted into a corner. It was only through sheer audacity that I managed to maintain a window. Several middle-aged women came and stood next to me, wielding large cutouts of Jared's face. Apparently his popularity extended beyond Asagao. Jared stretched in front of the projector, his every move causing small gasps from the crowd. Alright, we're about ready. Would Walid of the Hidden Block Club please take the stage first? Of course I will. Jared stepped off the stage and Walid took his turn under the lights. The song selection has been decided pre-match by the tournament staff. It's the karaoke version of Pacific Drive. At his words, Jared's face lit up. Walid turned pale. This wouldn't be the same Pacific Drive by the super famous, popular, and incredible talented idol Gorlub, would it? That's the one. Perfect. I frowned. Walid was just acting like he received a death sentence, but this song shouldn't be different from any other. He held up a hand to the console and drew it to the right, starting the song. As the music started, his eyes widened. Hadn't I heard this somewhere before? Jared caught my eyes from across the floor and grinned. I had. It was Jared's modeling music. Here goes nothing. To my enormous surprise, a large portion of the audience started cheering. No, not just cheering, hyperventilating. They were nondescript girls, probably teenagers, and they weren't holding any Hidden Block or Normal Boots fan gear. But the way they were cheering, it was as if they were seeing their favorite celebrity in the flesh for the first time. Walid started moving to the music, and I was taken aback. He was surprisingly agile, and even more surprisingly precise. His movements looked as though not only had this specific routine been practiced dozens of times, but he'd had help from an actual dance teacher. Was that even fair? I glanced across the floor to Jared, who was watching my face with a slightly peeved expression. He looked at Walid, and turned his head with a huff, as if saying Walid was nothing compared to him. I smirked. Jealous, were we? But then something strange happened. Rather than follow the choreography of the song, Walid started doing different moves. The girls in the back of the room screamed even louder, but his score was going down. Walid, what are you doing? Jimmy screamed at him from across the room, practically having a conniption. Walid realized his mistake, but it was too late. His score had taken a huge hit. You gotta be kidding me! The song finally ended, and Walid's score was totaled. 860,400. He'd taken a 140,000 hit. And next is the contestant, Jared, from the Normal Boots Club. Walid jogged off the stage as Jared, arms held high like a gladiator in the arena, stepped on stage. The crowd gathered, screamed so loud I actually saw my vision shudder. Thank you all, my lovely fans, for coming to see me. Each and every one of you is near and dear to my heart. He blew a kiss at the crowd and winked, then turned to me. He kissed his fingers and held them out as if pressing them against my lips. Even though I stood on the other side of the room, I flushed, and he turned to face the machine, moving his hand to the right. But as the music started to play, I noticed something odd in the way Jared was facing the screen. He didn't look like he usually did when he focused. Not like when he did when he was practicing or studying or writing new D&D campaign scenarios. His gaze was less sharp, and he seemed more focused on what was around him than the actual screen. Oh no. His walls were up. He was more focused on putting a good performance than on winning. As the dance started, Jared swirled and spun, moving his hips with passionate fervor. As the crowd screamed and swooned, I watched his score. It was moving slowly upwards, but not as fast as Walid's had. Walid, watching on the side, seemed to realize this too. A small grin spread across his face. No. What did I do? Jared's movements weren't as precise. He was having a harder time controlling them in his effort to wow the crowd. He was nearly to the midpoint of the song. I had to do something. Then an idea struck me. Excuse me. I dove through the crowd, pushing and shoving without a single care who I hit or whether I was being rude. Just outside the room, I found Paul, anxiously trying to get a glimpse of Jared. Hana, what's wrong? Come with me, please. I grabbed his hand without waiting for a reply and pulled him into the room, shoving back through the crowd. This time they saw me coming and quickly moved out of the way. You didn't really make up with Jared, did you? Well, if he's really your friend, cheer him on. Please, snap him out of it.
Seriously?
You're the only one who can do it. What are you talking about? Snap him out of what? Just do it! I pushed him to the front of the crowd, where Paul stood in a confused daze. In slow motions, his hand raised to cup his mouth. Jared! I'm here for you no matter what. So, please, continue. Jared faltered in the middle of one of his moves, shooting a quick look at Paul. Paul gave him a thumbs up, and Jared's face softened. Jared, the game! He turned to the screen, a familiar steely glint in his eye. Jared was back. The crowd exclaimed as suddenly Jared's movements became precise and intricate. He mimicked the movements on screen as if he were a robot, replicating them with such precision that I almost felt like I was watching a pre-recorded video. His score suddenly doubled in its rising speed, slowly tipping over 650,000, 700,000. Jared struck a finish pose, and the song faded from the room. Paul and I watched breathlessly as the game tallied his final score. Slowly, the numbers trickled onto the screen. 890,600.
Yay!
Jared, you did it! My screams were lost in the cheers of the crowd. Jared raised his arms up and sprinted around the edge of the stage, finally reaching Paul and I. He fist-bumped Paul and pulled him into a quick bro hug. Then he turned to me. Thank you, Hana. He pulled me into a bear hug, and this time I was too happy to pull away. We spent our time wandering around the arcade and playing random games after that. Jared showed me a bunch of weird games I never would have played had he not pointed them out, talking about how they were integral to his childhood. As the rest of the guys shifted in and out of their events, successes and failures intermingled. It wasn't until the MC took the stage that we discovered who won. The winner of the 2015 South-Southwest tournament is... the Normal Roots Club. Yes! I screamed and clapped as we swarmed on stage. The poor MC didn't know what hit him. As we celebrated on stage, Paul grabbed the microphone.
All right.
I would like to take this moment to thank the fans, our families, but most of all, Paul turned to Jared. Our friends. To thank our friends for sticking with us and seeing the best of us, even when we make terrible asses of ourselves. Jared laughed and clapped Paul on the back, then pointed at me. Oh, right. We also have an announcement to make. As of today, we officially have a new addition to the Normal Boots Club. Please welcome Hana Mizuno. Jared went to the edge of the stage and pulled out a Normal Boots jacket in exactly my size. He hung it around my shoulders, gently pushing me to the front of the stage.
Yeah!
Congratulations, Hana. He smiled at me, then stepped away. Paul handed me the microphone, and for the first time, I had a spotlight of my own. Thank you all so much. I'll do my very best. I promise. Not knowing what else to do, I bowed deeply, deep enough that my hair tickled the floor. PBG pulled me up and pointed into the crowd. There, an excited Mai jumped up and down, waving at us. I beamed back at her.
Yeah!
I did it, Mai! My voice boomed across the room and I realized I still had the microphone in my hand. Utterly embarrassed, I held it back to Paul. Eventually we had to get off the stage, and when we did, I waded through the crowd to get to Mai. As soon as she saw me, she tackled me nearly to the ground. I knew you could do it! Thank you, Mai.
Yeah!
We have to do something to celebrate. You, PBG, and Jared and I should go to see a movie or something. That new Star Wars is out and I heard it's really good. Yeah, we should. A hand placed itself on my shoulder and I turned to see Jared shaking his head sadly. As much as I would love to go, Hana and I have something to attend to. I met his eyes and remembered. Right. We had to practice for the ceremony. But I haven't seen you like at all this week. I was really looking forward to it. I'm sorry, Mai, but it's really important. I'll explain everything to you once it's over. Mai frowned. Fine. You should still go with PBG though. I'm sure he'd enjoy that. Yeah, I think so too. Mai and Jared exchanged looks, like they passed a secret letter between them. Mai smirked. If you say so. She disappeared into the crowd, heading in the direction of the messy brown mop of hair sticking out above the rest. Sorry, Hana. No, it's okay. It's important. We can celebrate later, right? Right. And I promise we will. I smiled and nodded. In that case, let's get practicing. Okay, so I think I'm gonna leave it here, and we can do the tea ceremony and all of that in the next episode. Wow, I really didn't think I'd win the tournament this time, because I was like so worried about, like as Hana was saying, we were so worried about the relationship with Jared that there was not a whole lot of time to practice, and like the tournament and the game were like never mentioned. So I guess like we probably won because I took the time during that meeting to practice. So at least that's what I'm thinking, right? So I'm glad I made that choice, and that worked out. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.